everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're just quickly going to go over the main announcements of the recent Disney 23 Expo that was held recently on Saturday the 10th of September 2022. Now there might be spoilers here for the recent series on Disney Plus concerning both Marvel and Star Wars, so just beware when going into this overall video. Now, to be honest, when looking at this list overall, it was somewhat underwhelming and disappointing, especially from Marvel's side where there was a lot of hype and expectation. Many people felt we were going to get the casting reveal for the Fantastic Four film, which I believe is coming in 2024, headlining Marvel's Phase 6. Maybe we'd get some news regarding Deadpool 3 or Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Blades that we know will be starring Mahershala Ali, that is coming in Phase 5 I believe. Would we get a couple of teaser trailers for upcoming movies or some more announcements for Phase 5 and Phase 6? But we didn't get any of that, and I think, to be honest, I think Marvel's hand was a bit forced by some of the leaks that happened a couple of months ago, which made them have to announce, I believe, more than what they wanted to announce at the Comic-Con event in San Diego. So that might have been why we didn't get a lot of big announcements regarding this Disney 23 Expo. But overall, in terms of the content that we saw, the ones that caught the attention for me mostly was the trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3, and I think overall it looked very cool, very good visuals, and it had much more of a intent and imposing nature about it this time round. It does seem that we'll be focusing on the Battle of Mandalore, with Bo-Katan very much the prominent character this time round, and hopefully this will present a far more focused and serialized story than the usual episodic structure that we get, where it's normally Mandalorian and Baby Yoda having these more standalone adventures before moving on to the next, with no real connectivity. Now, to be fair, Season 2 we did have a bit more of a reference to the wider universe in terms of Star Wars, when of course we had the return of Luke Skywalker, as well as talking about Moff Gideon and the Darksaber, and indeed the Mandalore as well. So hopefully Season 3 will build on that, and it will be far more substantial and not fall into that repetitive type of structure than what we saw previously. The next content that was probably the most interesting was the first trailer that we got for Secret Invasion. Now this will be the first Disney Plus show, I believe, of Phase 5, and it will come out sometime in 2023. It will see the return of Nick Fury, and it will involve the presence of the Skrulls, of whom we saw introduced in the Captain Marvel film from 2019. And overall, the trailer looked very solid, had much more of a serious, very dark tone about it. We had all of those Winter Soldier vibes, where we're involving a lot of conspiracy and intrigue. It does seem that we will have some sort of narrative where we're trying to hunt down the Skrulls who have emerged in this world, and they, of course, can conceal their identities. We see the returning characters of the likes of Don Cheadle as Rhodey, and Scott Middleton from Captain Marvel, who played one of the Skrulls, of course. And as well as that, we have new inclusions such as Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman as well. So when I look at this trailer and the project in general, if it's executed right, it could easily be the best of the MCU Disney Plus shows so far. If you've been watching my channel, you'll know that I haven't been impressed at all with any of the series. They haven't really left any lasting impression, and sadly I have to include She-Hulk in that association as well. But Secret Invasion seems that it's got a bit more going on about it. Of course, we'll see more when we get a second trailer. We saw in one of the clips that Nick Fury has managed to get his eye back, so maybe that's Marvel realising the huge mistake that they made in the Captain Marvel film, how we saw Nick Fury lose his eye to the cat. So this may be their way of trying to atone for that ridiculous entry that we saw within that film. But overall, with Secret Invasion, I think can keep it very intense and dark and serious. It should really be the best of the MCU Disney Plus shows so far. So we'll wait and see what happens when that show arrives in 2023. We'll then move on to the casting announcement of the Thunderbolts. Now originally this was a group of superheroes created way back in 1997 within the comics. Now the MCU iteration will differ a lot from the source material, and it will feature a lot of established characters that we've seen already in the MCU. So in terms of the roster, it will include Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, who we saw in the Black Widow film. Red Guardian, again from the Black Widow film, played by David Harbour. We had the US Agent, played by Wyatt Russell, who we of course saw from Falcon and Winter Soldier, as indeed Bucky Barnes, who has been a long-time character ever since Captain America the Winter Soldier, and featured prominently, of course, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Sebastian Stan will be reprising his role there. We will also see the inclusion of Ghost, who was the main villain of some sorts in Ant-Man and the Wasp, played by Hannah John Kamen. And we will see the return of Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who appeared at the end scenes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I also believe she appeared in the end credit scenes of Black Widow. And this is when she was recruiting members for this Thunderbolts team in general. And when we look at the team photo of the shot that was presented at the event, it very much seems like they're going for some sort of underground team, very similar to a Suicide Squad, as what many people have mentioned already. I very much doubt it's going to have the same R-rated orientation of the Suicide Squad, but this could be much more of that street level type of superhero team, as opposed to what we've seen in terms of the Avengers. And when we look at the Thunderbolts, this is really the third attempt by Kevin Feige to adapt an ensemble outside of the Avengers. Of course, he tried first off with the Inhumans, which got cancelled after one season, I believe. And then later on, he tried, of course, with the Eternals, which didn't really transcend itself, I think, to as well as what Marvel would have liked. So it seems that Kevin Feige wants to try and build another team within the universe, maybe realising that every time we try to get an Avengers together, it costs a lot of money. And of course, there's a huge weight and expectation every time we see the Avengers movies. So maybe he's just trying to expand on a much more lower scale in terms of a team-up event. Now, to be honest, I'm not that excited about the Thunderbolts team. Some of the roster here, it doesn't really catch your eye or attention too much. To be honest, I thought Yelena Belova probably would have had her own standalone movie in terms of the Black Widow. I wasn't that excited about Red Guardian or Ghost being included, and I do feel that in terms of the US agent, they didn't quite utilise that character as well as what I thought in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They hinted that he was potentially going to be the villain, and then they kind of backed away. So this team up doesn't really garner a lot of interest for me, but who knows, when the movie arrives, they may somehow be able to generate a lot of interesting character dynamics between the team, and we could have something special when the Thunderbolts arrives. I believe it's in 2023, and I think overall it will be the last entry within Marvel's Phase 5. So another entry that was included in Marvel's Phase 5 was, of course, Captain America New World Order. This will see Anthony Mackie returning as Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, aka now the new Captain America that was announced during Falcon and Winter Soldier. That caused a lot of debate amongst fans online when we saw that finale episode. And this will see him come up, we assume, against the main villain that was announced to be the leader, who is the main antagonist for the Incredible Hulk. And this will see actor Tim Blake Nelson reprising his role from the character that he played in 2008. And to be honest, I think this is a bit of a underwhelming announcement, because obviously you would have wanted to have seen the leader take part in any solo Incredible Hulk movie. Perhaps you would have liked to have seen him much more in She-Hulk. That would have perhaps given that show the main antagonist that I think it so badly needs at this stage. So having him go up against Falcon or the new Captain America, I'm not so sure. I assume again they would have borrowed some sort of material from the original comics, but it doesn't really excite me too much. It will be interesting to see how they exactly visualize the look of the leader. If you go from the comic books, he has that massive forehead to emphasize the enhanced abilities in terms of his intellect from the gamma radiation. So we will wait and see what happens in terms of Captain America New World Order, especially when we see the first trailer, and also look at fans' reactions. As I mentioned before, they weren't very happy as how their mantle was passed over from Captain America, Steve Rogers, to Falcon. Many people, myself included, would have rathered that Falcon continued in his own identity and carried on his own story instead of taking over the Captain America identity. But we'll wait and see how well Captain America New World Order performs when it arrives in 2023. And from my perspective, that was it really in terms of the D23. Now, of course, the event itself had plenty of other presentations regarding the likes of Wakanda Forever, Daredevil Born Again, that will be the Disney Plus series, some sort of continuation from the Netflix show that we saw, and also Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. But these are more exclusives to the event itself. I do also believe that there was some sort of trailer presentation for the Marvels that will come up next year, and this will feature the return of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, alongside, of course, Imana Vernali returning as Kamala Khan and her Miss Marvel, and also we will see the return of, I believe, Monica Rambeau as well. So I'm sure in the near future we'll see some trailers or eventual footage as what we saw from this event be presented to everybody online. But I just think in terms of Marvel's perspective especially, it was just a bit disappointing. And again, I do feel that perhaps if everything had gone the way they wanted it to, I think perhaps Phase 5 would have been announced in Comic-Con, and perhaps Phase 6 would have been announced much more in the D23, because at the end of the day, this is their more individual event, so they want to make a bigger impression at the event that they are putting on. Now, in terms of the Star Wars, yes, there was more footage shown for the Andor series, and to be honest, I'm not really interested in that. That just seems yet again another unnecessary prequel story within the Star Wars franchise. There was some more casting news regarding Ahsoka. I believe they have cast an actor. The actor who played the lead role in Aladdin is going to play Ezra, I believe, who we all know from the Star Wars Rebel series. So out of all of the Star Wars series coming up, Ahsoka is probably the one that I'm most invested in at the moment. But I do believe Star Wars as a franchise is very much still stuck in the past. So there wasn't really too much more excited from me in terms of the Star Wars content. So that's it really in terms of my overall thoughts and feelings on the content or thereof lack of content that was presented in the D23 Expo 2022. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Were there any pieces of content that you think I've missed that are deserving of far more attention and focus? Let me know in the comments. Were you disappointed and underwhelmed as what I was and what many fans were? And do you think we should have had far more displayed here? Let me know what you think in the comments. And of course, if there are any more updates regarding the Marvel or Star Wars content, then I will continue to cover it and provide those updates for you within the channel itself. And if you have any other television series or movies that you'd like to see me cover, any other topics that you'd like to see me discuss on the channel, let me know within the comments and I will see if I can provide more commentary for you in the future within the channel. Please also hit the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.